Okay. I'm going to be sharing my screen as well. Just 1 second. Joshua's with us. A few other people have just joined us. All right, I think this is good. Let me share my screen. And by the way, this is something that I'm trying out for the first time. It's called Google Jamboard. And I can give you a link to this Google Jamboard. Just give me a second. But while I figure that out, can people introduce themselves? I'm looking for something like a name. Which industry do you belong to? What is your function there? How many years of experience do you have? Are you interested in MBA or are you interested in something else? Have you taken the GRE or the GMAT? And finally, I'm someone who likes to get TV recommendations every now and then. So, you can give me some of your recommendations. What are you watching on TV right now? So who wants to start? Let's just take about 20 seconds per person.
Sure. Hey, Karthik, I'm Joshua Albert.
Hi, Joshua.
I'm from the IT industry. I work at Societe Generale, which is a French investment bank, but on the technology side. So I work with routers and switches.
Okay.
I was hired as a network engineer, but yeah, I functionally play the role of a team lead or a service delivery manager now. I have only about two years of experience. Yeah, it's pretty much what I see in the first 4 points. Funnily enough, I don't watch many TV series or movies, but I do watch anime, and I know that One Piece just released its latest episode.
So what kind of recommendations do you have as far as anime go?
Anime? You can start with Code Geass, and Death Note is one of the generic ones. But yeah, One Piece is a really long one, and it's pretty nice as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Joshua. Does someone want to go next?
Yeah, I can go next.
Hi, Rishal. How are you?
Hi, I'm good, Karthik. So my name is Rishal Bangar, and I'm from the travel and hospitality industry currently. And my role is in brand strategy and design. I also have a degree in architecture, but currently in the hospitality and travel industry. And I have about 4.5 years of work ex. And currently on TV, I'm watching a show called actually on Netflix called The Apprentice. And there's a new one for the One Championship edition. And I'm interested in the MBA and have given my GMAT last year, and I got a 630 last year.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Rishal. Does someone want to go next?
Hey, hi, I'm Vaibhavi. Can you hear me?
Hi, Vaibhavi, I can. How are you?
Yeah, good. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Just give me a short intro.
Yeah, so I'm a product manager in the telecom space, and I have 4 years of work experience. And I have taken GMAT, so my score is 740. And I am watching Stranger Things season 4 right now. So.
Yeah, that's supposed to be very popular. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Vaibhavi. Does someone want to go after? We'll probably take intros from another 2 or 3 people. I mean, if you're not taking the GMAT, that's still fine. You can still intro yourself. So don't feel conscious of that, right?
Very good evening, Karthik. This is Bharat Kumar.
Yeah, how are you?
Yes. Yeah, I'm doing good. How are you, Karthik?
I'm doing very well.
Yeah, yes. So presently I'm working as a managing partner in Expert Engineers company. So it's basically in HVAC and interior division.
Okay.
So my total work experience is about 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a civil engineer, so I'm into construction industry. So my role was into operations, sales, and business development. So these are the So like about the series, the same Stranger Things season 4 I've started.
Okay.
And my GMAT score actually I've taken in 2018. So
Okay.
it was 610.
Okay.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Thank you, Bharat. Thank you for
Thank you.
the introduction.
Thank you.
Maybe one more person. Does somebody want to go after Bharat?
Yeah, hi, I can go next.
Yes. Who is
That's
this?
okay. I am Vishish.
Hi, Vishish.
And hi Karthik. I am currently working in the healthcare industry. I work as a business development manager, so I look after all of the sales and marketing efforts. And I am closing in on 5 years of experience, split between consulting and now in healthcare.
Okay.
And currently, I am watching. In fact, I just started Panchayat 2 today, Panchayat season 2. And
Sorry, what is that again?
Panchayat is
Okay.
it's a show
Yeah,
on
yeah,
Amazon.
I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen the ads for that. At least it seems quite interesting.
Yeah, and I am interested in MBA, and I just gave my GMAT last week, and I have scored a 750.
Oh, very nice. Congratulations, Vishish.
Thank you.
So I'm trying this Jamboard for the first time, and hopefully you guys can also benefit from this. So I'm going to put this link on the chat window, right? And wait, how do I get to the chat window now? Yeah. So this is the link for the Jamboard. What I would ask you to do is if you can, so you will be getting access to the exact same board that I'm editing right now. And you can go to, you can just create a new page. So right now I've created pages 3 and 4. And, just add your name. What is your major question? You can type it out. So if you're using it on a web browser, you just have to click on this and then, type out your question. This is just my way of trying to make this a little bit more interactive, right? So pick your own page. So I see somebody called anonymous something. So you can go on to page 3, right? So just copy paste the text box and then type in your question. And then everybody can pick their own page, right? So make the page yours by typing in your name at the beginning so that other people don't know that they shouldn't be taking in your questions, right? And while you're doing that, let me give a very brief introduction. Folks, this is Karthik Palaniappan. I am the founder and the chief coach at August Academy. For those who don't know about us, we are based in Chennai, but we work with people from all over India and all over the world, in fact. And since then, we've helped hundreds of Indian applicants get into top 20 MBA programs since 2013. Last year, supposed to be a very, very competitive year, but we still had some very good results. I had somebody get into Harvard. I had somebody get into MIT. I had somebody get into Tuck. I had somebody get into Ross. I had somebody get into Duke. Some of these places we've had multiple admits as well, Anderson, Tepper. So it was a good year. We had somebody get into Oxford, Rotman, NUS. Definitely we had our share of ISB admits as well. So regardless of which geography you are looking at, one of our students is going to be studying in the top 5 to top 10 programs, right? So we've been very fortunate, and we hope to work with another good batch this year as well. In terms of scholarships, our students get about $1 million in scholarships every year. And this was true last year as well. In terms of industry affiliations, August Academy is a member of AGAC. If you know, AGAC is the premium international organization of MBA admissions consultants. And personally, I just got affiliated with the International Coaching Federation as an ACC level coach as well. So what does it mean for you that we are members of such esteemed organizations? We follow a very rigorous code of ethics, and we are looking out for you, our clients, and we place your interests ahead of ours. So that is, even if you carry nothing else from these affiliations, these are some things that you can carry back home very, very strongly. In addition, being a member of AGAC does give us some advantages as well. I've had the privilege of traveling to the US, and I've visited about 10 campuses so far. 1 in Canada, which is the University of Toronto at Rotman, and 9 in the US. And this includes premier campuses like Chicago Booth, Kellogg, McCombs, Duke, Darden, and so on, right? I'm an alumnus of IIT Madras and Stanford. And since I asked all of you about what kind of series you guys are watching, I just started watching something called The Lincoln Lawyer, all right? So with that in mind, let me paste this link again. This is a Jamboard. I'm using this Jamboard for people who just joined us right now. I'm using the Jamboard. So what I want you to do is I want you to find a free page on the Jamboard. I want you to type out your name and whatever your question is, and then we will get around to answering that. Can I start with the questions? Is everyone okay? Give me a couple of thumbs ups. I'm assuming people are okay. So, all right. Shrey Rai, yeah. Okay. I think this is Shrey's question, right? I'm going to make this bigger. I am a software developer at Flipkart. I work in the ads team. Great. I have around 2 years of work experience. I graduated in the year 2020. My question here is, how important is the GPA in the MBA application, right? Okay, fantastic, Shrey. I am going to just say it's not that important, okay? And if you have a great GMAT, definitely not that important. Focus on GMAT. GPA is important, but not, sorry, that important, okay? And anyway, I mean, the more relevant thing here is the GPA is already done and dusted, right? I mean, you're out of college right now, so there's no way you can go back in time and change that. Whereas the GMAT is something that's coming up in future, so definitely focus on GMAT. Nowadays, top 10 unis programs in the US require more than 750, all right? So that's just for your information. All right, is that okay, Shrey? Do you have any follow-up questions here?
Yeah, are you able to hear me?
Yes, I am.
So I have like one more question. So I had heard that if you get a good GMAT score, then you can cover for lower GPA score. Besides that, I have also heard that B schools also look for diversity in each applicant's application. So my next question is that how like I can make my application diverse from the people that are applying, because
you cannot make it any diverse. As an Indian applicant, you are already considered international. And as far as that goes, yes, you may be diverse, but then you have to register in the fact that we have a lot of Indian applicants applying, right? So my advice to you here is, do not worry about adding diversity. You cannot do that, not from where you are coming from. So focus on your GMAT. That's pretty much the only thing, and focus on doing a good job at work.
Okay, so a strong GMAT application is certainly which would help me in my application. Is that what you are saying?
Yeah. So things that are in your control right now: GMAT, right? And a job performance that's completely in your control.
Okay, and
extracurriculars.
Extracurriculars. Okay. And would anything like this help? Like if I have, say, I am interested in finance. So if I have the opportunity to work on a finance related project in my organization, and if I do something like that, and if I can get a strong recommendation letter from someone who is in that domain, so would any?
If you're interested in finance, get a CFA as well.
Okay.
And yes, if you are able to work in a finance related project and get a strong finance related LOR, that should be good.
Okay. And one last thing. So I had also heard that if you do CFA and or any other activities in the in last year of your application, means the year you are in which you are applying, in that year, if you do all that activities, the B schools they generally discard those. So is that true?
Yes and no. Okay. Why is it true? Because without relevant work experience, the CFA is just a certification and it doesn't show anything. It just shows an interest in finance. That's about it.
Okay.
Whereas if you have a CFA level 1 and then you are able to switch to a finance company using that CFA level 1, then you get finance experience. And then that certification actually takes on some life and some meaning to it. All right.
Okay.
So there is some indication that you're interested in finance, but the value comes only when you work in finance. And that is probably about a year after you finish your CFA level 1 or level 2.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Definitely. So moving on to the next question. Rishul Bangar. Hi, Rishul. I scored a 630 last year, B35Q41. Is the score good enough, or should I give the GMAT again in August? What would be the best way to start preparing again from scratch, especially in Quant? Okay. Rishul, it all depends on your aspirations, right? So let me just put down some notes here. So for Indian applicants, for US top 10 programs, right, we are looking at 750 plus. For T20 programs, we are looking at 730 plus, right? T35, we are looking at 700 plus. And about T, let us say 65, we are looking at 650 plus. And maybe a T100, we'll look at a 630 plus, okay? So if you are happy with whatever bracket your GMAT will allow you to get into, then there is no need for you to give the GMAT again. But if you would like to push yourself to get into a slightly higher ranked program, then definitely I would encourage you to give the GMAT once more. But that is only one part of the story, okay? The other part of the story is as follows. Everybody has their own limits, all right? So, I mean, I don't even want to talk about the GMAT right now. Let's talk about running a 100 meters race, okay? It's a short sprint. So somebody like Usain Bolt is able to do that in, I don't know, like 8.9, 9.1 kind of seconds, right? I mean, that's really, really fast. And I think anybody in, so all of you guys and girls are very fit and young as well. So I'm assuming any one of you should be able to do it in somewhere between 12 and 13 seconds. I've never been an athlete, all right, even when I was very, very little. So if you ask me to run a 100 meters race right now, I would probably take about 15 seconds, okay? And this is my capacity, all right? This is my physical capacity. This is the limit of my physical endurance, right? Likewise, in terms of GMAT performance, each one of us has our own capacities, all right? So you need to ask yourself, based on how you have performed in other tests in the past, is the 630 like your maximum capacity? Are you do you think you have it within you to do better than that? Okay. And if the answer is you can do better than that, then by all means push yourself and take the test once more. Okay. And this is not at the 630 level, at the 650 level, at the 700 level, at the 730 level, at the 750 level. For anybody who's in any level, if you believe you have room for improvement, if you sincerely believe, don't be overly positive. I mean, there's a limit to positive thinking. Okay. So if you realistically believe that there is room for improvement, by all means, prepare for another month or two and give it one more shot, give it two more shots, and then stop after that, right? But if you think you have reached your limit, then please do not waste your time. Rather choose schools which your GMAT will allow you to choose, okay? So it's only till you hit your level. After you believe you've hit your level, then change your school aspirations and choose whatever is in the range for you. All right. Rishul, is that answer your question? Do you have any follow-up questions?
Yes, Karthik. So that was very helpful. I know that last year, so it's just a follow-up on this itself. So I know that in my mocks, I was getting somewhere around a 670, 690. So I know that's kind of my limit, and my verbal score was pretty much constant all throughout. Like it was almost around 35 the entire time. Only my quant just keeps going up and down. So I want to give, so if I have to give it again, I just wanted to know what would be the best way to kind of go forward with classes like a Jamboji or because last time I done it online just by myself. I feel like that's going to be difficult for me now because of work and having that routine fixed. So I will need some kind of support rather than doing it in a self learning way again.
Yeah. So my recommendation is the first level is you reach out to Jambori or Manya. Okay. There's Jambori, Manya. Then I believe there is Magosh. There is GMAT. I don't have a preference between any one of these organizations. I think all of these are great. Wherever you see the best chemistry, I think that's what you should be looking at. And the second level is, I think you should take help from a tutor. Tutors are expensive. They may charge you somewhere in the 4,000, 5,000 rupees per hour range. Okay. Two people that I can think of are CJ. So if you go to LinkedIn and search for Chiranjeev Singh, you should be able to find them. And Anish Basi. So these are two people well, when I say I know these people, I just know them because of their LinkedIn reputation. I have not had a single phone call with them, right? So please don't take it as a recommendation for services. I've seen their LinkedIn posts. They seem to be making a lot of sense to me. And so I'm putting their names here. So the first level is sign up for the course, Jambori Manya Magoshi GMAT. And the second level, if that is still not sufficient, talk to a tutor. Does it help, Rishul?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, all right. So moving on. Vaibhavi Sharma. Hi, Vaibhavi. 740, 4 years of work experience in product management in the telecom sector. How important is the IR score? Not very important at this point.
Can you hear me? Yeah. I have more questions. I have updated them, but I cannot see them on the screen.
Yeah. Should I target European schools? Is that your follow-up question?
So I have some more questions that I was able to update them, but I think yours is not. You need to refresh this.
Okay.
Maybe I need to refresh.
Yeah, maybe you can refresh it. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. So IR, how difficult is it to get into T10 schools with a 740? I would say 750 plus is recommended. Okay. With a 740, I would say maybe a top 15 as an Indian female applicant. A top 10, if you have something unique in your profile, you can still try. I had somebody get into touch with I had an Indian guy get into touch with a 730 2 years ago. And I think that was a star achievement. About 3-4 years ago, I had a girl with a 730 get into Yale. So on and off, these things do happen, all right? But I wouldn't be able to give it very statistically, okay? So my recommendation is if you're very interested in the top 10, then try to stretch yourself to see if you can get to that 750 plus. But a 750 plus alone will not guarantee that you will get into a top 10, all right? The rest of the profile also matters, okay? IR is not important. So that part you can rest assured. Should I target European schools if I want to get into the tech industry? Why not? Oxford and Cambridge are definitely good. So I would say Oxford, Cambridge,
What
HEC.
about LBS?
LBS more for finance. But yeah, sure. I mean, London also has a good tech scene. So you can assume that technology is the second preference at LBS. But if you want to target it, by all means, I think that's perfectly fine.
And what about the score? I have
score is fine. Score is fine. Score is not an issue. What impact will it have if my current manager is not one of the recommenders? Okay. It is preferable that your current manager is one of the recommenders. Why? Because your current manager is best positioned to talk about your current level of professional maturity. Okay. So let me give you an example, right? Let's just say you're telling you have 4 years of work X. So let's say your previous manager was somebody you worked with 2 years ago. So what kind of work may you have been doing 2 years ago? You may have been somebody who had just become an independent contributor after finishing the traineeship period. Okay. So what kind of good words will that previous manager have about you? Vaibhavi is someone who's very smart and accomplished. I don't have to spoon feed her, step by step, whatever work has been assigned to her. If I just give her a high level of outline, then, she can pretty much run with it. So that's the kind of language that your previous manager may have for you. Whereas at 4 years of experience, let's say you have actually taken up a team leadership kind of role right now. So you are actually leading a team of around 2 or 3 people, maybe up to 5 people. Now your current manager can actually talk about your leadership abilities as well. Let's say you've also taken up the championship of 1 or 2 major projects in your company. Your current manager can also talk about that. By going to a previous manager, you are losing out the opportunity for somebody in your recommendation letter to talk about some of these valuable opportunities and skill sets, right? So that is the impact. So it's not even that, hey, you know what, this person is not giving you a recommendation letter. It's also that these aspects of your professional persona are not getting demonstrated in the letters of recommendation. So that is the biggest loss that you will face. Okay. But having said that, a lot of people do tell us that they don't want their current managers to know that they are applying and all that. And we do a little bit of pros and cons analysis, and we finally figure out someone maybe from a previous manager period or something. That's just the next best alternative. That is definitely not the best alternative. Okay. If you don't have international experience, then maybe European schools, you'll face some difficulty, but American schools, it's not going to be a big time deal breaker or of any sort. Okay. So does that answer your questions, Vaibhavi?
Yeah, thank you.
Not for US schools. All right. So moving on, Joshua. Hi, Joshua. 2 years of work experience. How challenging is it for those with fewer years of work experience, less than 4 to 5, to apply to these schools? Is there anything in particular that schools look for in candidates with less work experience? Okay. It is a little challenging, Joshua, and for reasons similar to what I mentioned for Vaibhavi's question. For someone who's just about starting their work experience, you've just finished up your traineeship period and you've just become an independent contributor, right? And that's the kind of experience with which you will apply to business school. You can talk about what kind of leadership potential you have in the future, but there will be very little in terms of demonstrated leadership experiences that you can actually use to prove your experiences, right? So that would be the major challenge. Is there anything in particular that schools look for in candidates with less work experience? You may want to figure out very creative ways in which you can showcase your leadership. What that would mean is maybe you're still recently graduated from college. So you can look at any leadership positions that you've had in college. You can look at leadership positions you've had in the extracurricular space. And even within your office sphere, there could be some CSR kind of initiatives that you have championed, right? Or maybe you're the person who's organizing all hands meetings at your office or something along those lines, right? So you can talk about that as leadership experience. Even if you've not managed a full-fledged project, you can talk about how you've gotten together these separate initiatives, and you can talk about that as leadership experience. Does that answer your question, Joshua?
Yes, Karthik. And just a slight follow-on. So what if we do have some experience in leading the team, maybe in a project or two? So we are a team of about 20, just for perspective. And
okay.
we do work around the clock. So it's 24 by 7.
Okay.
And I do play a part in managing the team as well. So
okay. So that definitely helps. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Sure. So when I mention this, will there be anything? sorry, when I mention this, will there be anything particular that schools look for within this?
We'll have to examine this on a case-by-case basis. It's a little difficult for me to imagine what aspects of your experience will be valuable. But I think as we have further conversations, it will become a little clearer.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Joshua. So moving on. So there's Piyush. Hi, Piyush. I'm just going to make this a little bigger. Okay. 720, 4 years of work experience in consulting, 7.3 CGPA, engineering, member of various student events and social service clubs, continued service even after college. Great, Piyush. Thank you for the introduction. And wanted to know if the profile is good enough for schools like Berkeley has, Stepper, NYU Stern, also confused about how to choose a school. Okay. Conflicted between continuing in consulting and switching in product management, switching to product management. Okay. So this is something we can examine later, right? You may be suited for both. Depends on your skill set. All right. So don't worry about it for right now. So in general, my thought process on choosing MBA careers to write about in the goals essay is as follows. At this point in time, please talk about what seems to make the most sense given your background. So you may have worked in a particular industry, you may have worked in a certain function, you may have worked in a certain geography. Don't try to change too many things at the same time. You know, I mean, I'm all for continuing in the same industry, but changing functions from a technical function to a managerial function, right? So that could be a software engineer wanting to make the shift to product management. I could be looking forward to an analyst in the consulting sector, making the shift to an associate in the consulting sector itself. So as you can see, the industry is the same. It's just the function or the seniority level that's changing, right? Why am I recommending this? See, one of the things that matters to business schools is that they should be able to find you a job when you graduate, right? And the probability of finding a job increases if you are not looking to change too many things at the same time. Okay. So somebody who's worked in technology sector all their life, wanting to make the shift to finance, in spite of what I told an earlier candidate on this call itself, that is a little bit of a stretch. Okay. Whereas moving from technology to technology itself, but just changing the function from engineering to product management, that's not that much of a stretch. Okay. So colleges would be willing to consider you more favorably if you are able to present career goals that are a little bit more realistic. Okay. So this is only as far as getting into college goes. But once you actually get an admission offer and once you join college, then what you do is entirely up to you. You can go and change and, you know, I mean, you may have said you wanted to become a product manager, but you can become a consultant. You may have said you wanted to become a consultant, but you can become a product manager. That's entirely up to you. And that's entirely up to the job market. If, let's say a company is willing to interview you and if you impress them in the interview and they are able to make you an offer, I'm not going to come in your way. The college itself is not going to come in your way. You are free to take up that offer. Okay. So consider these as two separate problems. Getting into college is one problem. Getting out of college is an entirely different problem. Your ultimate career is what you will do when you get out of college, but that really does not matter so much. What you present to the college at this point will help you get into college. So talk about something that seems very reasonable. So that's something that I would ask you to do. I do believe everybody has a good profile, so I wouldn't be able to comment on your profile specifically as being good enough or not good enough. I can tell you that the colleges that you have listed out, Haas, Stepper, and Stern, typically require 750 plus. And in addition, Haas, it would be better for you to be coming out of a startup or either a startup in which you are an early employee or a startup which you founded by yourself. Okay. Does it answer your question, Piyush? Is there any follow-up that you would like to ask me?
Yeah, no, Karthik, I think
Okay, sounds good.
the career was basically because a lot of people told me that school selection should also entail what your goals are, and that's why.
Sure, we can definitely discuss that. So in general, what I've observed is most schools in the top 15 to 20 are good for everything. Some are better for certain things. Like Wharton and Booth are supposed to be better for finance. Stern is supposed to be better for finance. Haas is supposed to be better for tech. Tepper is supposed to be better for tech. Anderson is supposed to be better for tech. But these are the supposed tos. Okay. But in general, every school is good for everything. So like your Harvard may have consulting as a top recruiter, Stanford may have technology as the top recruiter. But you will see that even at Stanford, people do get into finance, and even at Harvard, people do get into technology. Okay. So don't worry too much about that. Let's continue with school selections. I mean, as long as we are still talking about the top 20. Okay. I mean, the rules change when you're moving from the top 20 to the top 50 when certain schools are better for certain things, and that is very clear. Okay. But within the top 20, you will not go wrong depending on your choice. So broadly, some schools have certain affinities, like I just told you. If you want, you can choose schools as per those affinities. But even if you end up not choosing schools as per those affinities, that's still okay. So why does it make a difference? When you say you want to get into product management, but you really want to become a consultant, now your goals essay is going to say you want to become a product manager, and you may end up applying to Tepper and Anderson. But graduating, you want to become a consultant. I'm telling you that even if you graduate out of Tepper or Anderson, you can still become a consultant. And I have an example for you. One of my candidates went into Anderson about 3 years ago. He graduated last year. He was from the tech sector. He said he wanted to become a product manager, and he got a job at McKinsey. All right. So he's a consultant right now. He spent about a year in the job right now. There's another one of my candidates. She was from the oil and gas sector. She said she wanted to get into operations management. She got into Yale. In fact, Yale is not known for operations management either. Graduating out of Yale, she got into Apple, right? The job itself is an operations profile. So, from that point of view, there is some continuity, but it is in the tech sector, right? Apple is a technology company. It's the biggest technology company in the world right now, or one of the 3 biggest companies. So anything can happen. Just trust and move forward with it. That's my advice to you. Okay, Piyush?
Yeah. Also, sorry, one thing. You mentioned that a 750 that I've mentioned, but the thing is, I do not intend to take another try at GMAT. I think 720 is something that I would not be able to breach in the time that I have right now. So should I still be going ahead with an application, or should I change my target schools?
See, you may apply to 1 or 2 of these programs, but largely I think you should change your target programs.
Okay. Which one are you looking at if you have any colleges?
We'll have to take that up as an offline conversation. We actually charge for shortlisting. I can give you some details about that. But broadly with the 720, I would say schools in the top 25 to 30 as an Indian guy. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. All right, Vish. Take care. Moving on, this is Vishisht. And hi, Vishisht. How are you? Undergrad at VIT Vellore. Great. And mechanical engineering 8.97, great. Works at ZS Associates, great. Dental Avenue, I'm not sure what that is. I'm assuming it's a healthcare startup. Managing 30 plus people, that's good as well. GMAT is 750, good. Considering my score and academics, should I be looking at a program like Wharton or INSEAD? Should I consider giving the GMAT again? Yeah, I don't think you need to give the GMAT again. 750 is quite good, right? Sorry, I think. Yeah, you don't need to give the GMAT again. I can push the verbal score a little more, but I'm concerned about matching the AWA and IR performance that I achieved in this attempt. I don't think IR matters. IR doesn't matter. AWA will be useful, but it doesn't matter so much, okay?
Okay.
But if you can push the verbal score, by all means, go for it. If you're confident about this, go for it. So that would be my recommendation. NCAD, unless you have international experience, perhaps not. So that's my recommendation. Wharton, yeah, sure, why not? But consider also top 10 to top 12 programs. P12 programs. That's what I would say, Vishisht. Yeah. How can we use the networking events with admissions teams to our advantage? What are the kinds of questions we should be asking? Yeah, I mean, just attend these networking events and ask whatever questions, doubts you have, right? So
Okay.
that's pretty much all there is to it. I think all they are going to do is they are probably going to be tallying your attendance. So you may have registered in some website that, hey, you know what, I want to attend this webinar or live event. And so that may get attached to your application at some point. And then later in your essay, you can say that I attended this event in Bangalore, or I attended this online event and I talked to Linda, or I talked to John. And then, you know, I mean, this is something that John said, and that was very interesting to me. So you can write things like this in your essays. Other than that, I don't think you should even be trying. I mean, if you want to make a positive impression on the admission staff, by all means, go ahead. I'm not going to ask you to not do that. But I think you shouldn't have those expectations. I don't even think they would remember, right? So what goes on record is the fact that you registered for that event. And what is an outcome of this event is the fact that you learn something interesting about the school, which you can reproduce in your essays. Sometimes what you learn about the school attracts you to apply to a particular school, and sometimes what you learn about a school dissuades you from applying to that school. And in both cases, I think this is valuable information. Making this strong positive information such that when Linda looks at your application 6 months later and says, hey, you know what, I remember Vishisht from that event in Bangalore, that's a very low probability event. So don't worry too much about it. And the kinds of questions you should be asking are all about, okay, I'm Vishish, I want to become a product manager at Google. So how can Tepper help me do that? So those are the kinds of questions you should be asking. Yeah. And if they already answered it through your presentation, then that's well and good. Any follow-ups there, Vishisht?
I do actually have a follow-up. First of all, thank you so much for your response to this question. This is very helpful for me. My follow-up question is actually related to the letters of recommendation that you mentioned earlier. You said that it is best that someone who is managing you right now is the one who is giving you the letter of recommendation. So now, in my case, Dental Avenue, where I'm currently working, is actually a family business. So the person who's managing me right now is my father. In that case, does it matter that, you know, who's giving me the recommendation? Because I
No, you can't get it from anybody related to you. That defeats the purpose of the recommendation, but you can get it from, let's say, an investor, or maybe if you have a board of advisors and there's somebody on the board who's not related to you, that could be okay. Or if you are in a B2B kind of business and then you have an institutional client, from the name, I'm guessing that's not the case, but in case I'm just misinterpreting the name, and it is a B2B business and you have a large institutional client, then that is also somebody you can get a letter from.
Okay. And in case neither of these two are available, I would have to fall back to ZS, which
that is
I guess
correct.
is just,
yes, yeah, that is correct. Yeah.
Just what we have to do. Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So the thing is, we make compromises all the time because of very unique personal circumstances. And what you are raising is one such area. Don't take this as advice. It becomes advice only when we have a personal conversation. We've explored a few more pros and cons of a few other possibilities, right? But, you know, prima facie, based on whatever I'm hearing right now, this is probably the way to go. And the generic advice that I'm giving everybody is everything that I'm telling you is in good faith, but then there's always going to be one or two very, very unique and quirky circumstances that you will find yourself in, and this generic advice will not apply in that particular case, and so we'll have to specialize at that point. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Definitely. Yeah. So I have Utkarsh coming up. The best thing about this is I can still see, even though it was kind of small at the beginning. So Utkarsh says, which are the top colleges that prefer people with higher work experience? I have a GMAT of 720. In general, US colleges are, European colleges are okay with older candidates. Okay. And with a GMAT 720, I would say colleges, US colleges ranked, let's say 22 to 30. And both these should be okay with 10 plus experience. But again, I can only see 10 plus, 15 is also 10 plus. 15 plus, I would recommend an executive MBA. Okay. So from 10 to 15, let's say that's a fuzzy area where you actually are older for a regular MBA, but you will be younger for an executive MBA, a foreign executive MBA. In India, I think if you have more than 5 years of experience, you will be considered as a viable candidate for an executive MBA at IIM, AB, and C. Okay, but outside of India, you'll need 15 plus years of experience for an exec MBA. So for someone with 10 to 15, theoretically both programs could work or not work. You'll be an older candidate for the regular, you'll be a younger candidate for the exec, but you can still try. Okay. European colleges typically are friendly to older candidates, and US colleges 20 to 30 will work with 720, and I don't see any reason why you can't apply to these colleges as an older candidate as well. So that would be my answer to your first question. Can we show interaction with international vendors, customers as international experience? Yes, but it's not a differentiator. Okay. That's my answer to that. Why? Because, we have about 14 people on the call right now, 13 if you leave me out. I'm fairly certain of the 13, at least 10 people have interactions with international vendors or customers. Okay. And even if that's not the case, I'm fairly certain that some of us will be getting on telecons at least once a week with teammates located in other geographies, right? So because this is experience that all of us gather at this point in time, this is probably not a differentiator, but it does count as international experience. Does that answer your question, Utkarsh? Do you have any follow-ups?
Nothing, Karthik. Thank you very much.
Yeah, definitely. So moving on, Bharat. All right. GMAT of 610, felt my final score, PG in construction, 6 years, WorkX, chances of top IIMs for 1 year course. Bharat, I'm very sorry, man. I think IIM A and B will be, I think ABC will be difficult. Okay. But you can try the newer IIMs.
Okay.
Great Lakes. These are some colleges that you can try. ISB, PGB Max. I don't think they have no GMAT. I do think that's the case, but you may have to check if they've made any changes to the application process this year. Oh, wait, you can't do PGP Max. Sorry about that. Because you only have 6 years of experience. So you may try some of these colleges. And let's see. Maybe some tier 2 programs. I don't have any recommendations here because I don't have awareness as to what programs are there. But tier 2 programs may also work. If you can push it to at least 650, I think that would be good.
Okay, and I would like to add like a couple of years, like I'm
Yes,
into family business now. So overall, like 6 years and 2 years of into business.
Yeah. So I think you can also explore like within the IIMs. There are lots of long-term certificate programs.
Okay.
Long duration. I think that's what you call it. They are called long duration. So certification. So you can look at some of these programs, all right? So I'm fairly certain they have something for the construction industry. So both IIM A and B are likely to have something for the construction sector. So check that out. There, I think just your previous background itself will help you. And it won't be an MBA, it's a certification program, but you will still get all the management knowledge that is required.
Okay. And like if not ABC, like they are like Indore and Lucknow, or any chances of getting into those? Like
The older
IIMs?
IIMs, I think, will be very difficult with the 610.
Okay.
The newer IIMs you can try.
Fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Karthik.
Yeah. And then moving on. So we have Srileka, undergrad at IIT, 8.6 GPA, 4 years of work experience at US IB Bank, GMAT 750. Should I be retaking the GMAT, or would a 750 or 760 not matter as much in the grand scheme of things, looking at top 10 schools? I think a 750 is okay. But if 760 without effort, go for it. So the idea here is you shouldn't be spending like tens of hours on it. You know, it's just a question of setting up one more appointment with GMAC, going, giving it, and then if you think you'll get a 760, then do it. If it requires you to put in like 4 weeks, 5 weeks of effort, then I think it's not even worth it. Okay. First recommender would be direct supervisor, and ideally who should be a second recommender. So I would say previous supervisor, especially if it's from a different company. So that's one possibility. If not, same company is fine. Then a client, extracurricular space. Yeah, these are some possibilities. Can it be someone senior to you on your team rather than your former manager? Preferably get it from somebody who doesn't duplicate the content that the direct supervisor is going to provide you, right? So if you're getting it from a senior and the direct supervisor, and both of them are familiar with the same set of projects that you worked on, then both of them are going to be writing about the same set of projects. So you are losing out the opportunity to provide additional information, right? If it's somebody senior from a previous term, then yes, go for that. Somebody senior from the current term, I find it a little hard to understand if they can provide additional information which is not provided by your direct supervisor. I hope you get my gist there, Srileka.
Yeah,
Any follow-ups there?
Yeah, one quick follow-up question. Actually, I can get it from my former supervisor as well, but he is working on a startup now, so he doesn't have an official mail ID. So I'm not sure how that would pan out.
Typically, it is best to have an official email ID. If you're getting it from somebody with their Gmail or Yahoo or Microsoft kind of IDs, then it is best to get it validated by the university. Okay.
Okay.
Typically, half the time they're okay with it, half the time they're not okay with it. But even if he's working on a startup, I'm sure he has a website, and I'm sure he's created like a startup email address, right? Just check to see. He may have something.
Sure. Okay. Thank you, Karthik. That answers.
Yeah. All right. So I think that's everything. Avdesh has a question on chat. So let's pick up Avdesh's question. Does anybody else have any questions on chat? Okay. So I'm just going to copy paste Avdesh's question into this thing. And I'm going to paste it here. Let's see. All right. So Avdesh has this question. Industry is construction, function is project management. It's 11 years of experience, 740. Last year, I applied to a bunch of schools and was waitlisted by most schools with one admit from CATS with a 40K scholarship and a graduate assistantship of 6K per semester. Okay. I've deferred the CATS program and targeting one-year programs in the US. What schools should I target? How B schools should look at reapplicant profiles? Is it negative to apply? No, you can reapply. So that's not an issue. No issue. I would assume that schools ranked between, let's say, about 12 to 25. You should finish there. Not sure which ones have one-year programs. There may be two-year programs here. But I think it's okay to apply to two-year programs. Which schools did you apply to, Avdesh? Not sure if Avdesh is on the call yet. Okay. Yeah, but typically for someone with a 740 and the kind of work experience that Avdesh mentions, I would expect them to crack it between 12 and 25. Yeah. So Kelly, Ross, and Rice Carlson. Yeah, I don't see why Kelly, Rice, and Carlson did not work. Ross may have been difficult, but Kelly, Rice, Carlson, and Carey should have worked. Yeah. Kelly, Ross, Rice, Carlson, Carey, and Katz. I think this, and this should work. This a little difficult. Okay. All right. I think that's all the questions that people had. Does anybody have any final questions before we close? Can I stop share? Yeah, I'm going to stop share right now. Yeah, does anybody have any questions? Okay, I'm assuming that's a no. I would like to thank everybody for making it today. So we've been doing these admissions webinars for 3 years in a row right now. In fact, officially 4 years in a row. We had 1 or 2 webinars 4 years before. 2 years ago, we had a webinar almost every week from June to December. Last year, we had a webinar every other week, every second week from June to December. We expect to continue the same this year as well. So we are looking at a frequency of once in 2 weeks. And this was the first time we are doing it this year. So I'm glad that we had about 10 to 12 people attending this. Hopefully, this was something you guys found useful. What are the next steps, right? So if you feel that you want to work with us, you may reach out to me by email. We have a small charge for a one-to-one call, but then we commit to our people that when you sign up with us, we will subtract that charge, okay? And I will also explain how we work with our candidates. So when someone signs up with us, the first step is for us to get to know their background. So I will be sharing a few questions and then I'll be requesting answers from people. In general, students take about 15 days or so to answer these questions, right? These are very broad-based questions about your personal experience, your professional experiences, your strengths and weaknesses. So after reviewing this and after looking at the objective data that you have in your background, like your GMAT and whatnot, we will be able to make a guesstimate about what colleges are likely to work out for you, okay? And then we start the application process. So what happens is for every college in our comprehensive package, we'll have one brainstorming call. It's set up for an hour. So I'll give you some homework to do before you get into the call. You will finish that homework and then we'll set up a call. And then in that particular call, I will be asking you some questions about your life. And then we will look at it in perspective of what the college has asked us for. So Yale has this question about what's the biggest commitment you've made. Anderson has a question about what did you learn over the last few years, giving COVID in context. Tepper had that adversity question. Stanford has what matters to you and why kind of question. So every college has this trademark question. Duke has this 25 things about you kind of question. So given your life background, we look at what kind of stories will make for the best responses to these questions. We'll brainstorm around that and I'll help you put together a bullet point structure. Then you will write an essay based on a bullet point structure. You'll share the draft with me. My turnaround time is 2 to 3 days. I will get back to you with my comments on how you can improve the draft. And then you share another draft. I'll give you more comments, so on and so forth. In our we also help with resumes and the letters of rec. In our 5-school package, we have 2 mock interviews also. And in the 3-school package, it's not there by default. We charge extra for it. So this is the comprehensive tier of packages. For people who need a little bit more interaction, we also have an ultra tier of packages, and that is also quite popular. More or less the same as the comprehensive, but we don't limit the number of phone calls. Okay. So I would say about 90% of our candidates sign up for the comprehensive and about 10% sign up for the ultra. So that's the frequency. We have something called the all-in. In addition to that, I can explain that if you're interested. So just ping me and then I'll tell you what's involved and how it's different from the other two. And yeah, that's about it. So I'll see most of you again in maybe another 2 weeks. And please keep in touch. Take care.